Hello everyone, today I'll be doing a solo Nightfall Master run on the S.A.B.E.R with Warlock. For this video, I'll be focused on completing the Nightfall Master to get the armor's white glow. You can also complete the Nightfall with the fireteam, solo is not required. For my subclass, I'll be using the Stasis, Warlock, Shade Binder. Here are the mods I'll be using for this video. For my kinetic, I'll be using Thorn, exotic hand cannon. For the scout rifle, I'll be using the Void Safe. Next, I'll be using the 7 Soul arc machine gun. Helmet, I'll be using fire recovery, hand cannon ammo finder, machine gun ammo finder, shield break charge. For the exotic, I'll be using the necrotic grip, where melee causes damage over time, with 10 recovery, anti-barrier scout rifle, overload hand cannon with incinerating light. For the chest plate, I'll be using 5 discipline with double arc damage resistance, with heavy handed, and lock and load can be ignored for this video. Next, I'll be using 10 discipline, machine gun scavenger, a mod where I can get a cooldown for my grenades and taking charge. Lastly, I'll be using 10 recovery, bomber, sundering blast with global reach. So, is everyone having issues with code weasel yesterday? Because I've been having a lot of that all day yesterday and a little bit early morning, etc. This video we focus on the Thorn, and if you guys remember last season I used the exotic bow, the void bow, the Monarque. So basically Thorn is the Monarque version. It does work well with sundering blast. I did try breaching clear, but I think it works well with the other mod better. Of course, with a fire team with sundering blast and breaching clear, you know, it'll be devastating. It'll be very, very nice DPS. So I'll be scanning this war set and I'll be shooting down the arc ammo from the ship. That way it won't destroy me from the arc. So basically everything's arc, and of course the modifiers is solar is highly increased, but I decided to go for a double arc resistance because there's just a lot of things that are shooting arc, you know, a lot. Now I'm just camping here until 35%. I'm waiting for the champion to spawn, and I did throw a turret on the right side. So when the time does come, then I just pull back. And you can see I was being reckless as always. Now I can just clear down a couple of ads, get rid of these fallen, invisible fallens, which they do love to push towards you, and they can sneak attack you as well. It's very annoying. You can see there, he melee me, and if this was Grandmaster, it'd be a wipe, pretty much. Unless with melee resistance, but I haven't really tested out. I'm not sure if it does work. So now you can see that there are invisible fallens, but if you do use the Thorn, you can see them. You can see the green glow, and you can see them even though they're invisible. So that is the power of using Thorn. Of course, we're using the exotic arms for the Warlock, so we can poison enemies through our melee or the stasis melee, etc. So now you can see that this overload champion is not teleporting. He is moving a bit because I did miss a couple of shots, but you can see he's not teleporting. He's being a good overload champion, and I can just use Thorn and I don't have to really worry about anything. Of course, there are falls from the left side because I was just being reckless as always, but always clear down all the ads. Always clear down all the ads and then deal with the Overload Champion. You can make a War Mind Cell with the power of the 7 Silrath Soul Arc Machine Gun. So the only mistake I did is I should have just used the Arc Machine Gun to make a War Mind Cell and then deal with the Overload Champion. But I wanted to rush a little bit because I didn't want to waste too much time. Now I'll be capturing the plate, and this part can be a little bit dangerous, but you know, there's no togetherness or attrition, so I might as well take advantage of the modifiers. So the modifier is famine, so ammo is reduced greatly. You can see here I am shooting these arc ammo from the ships first through a turret, because all these vandals, snipers will always jump here. So I pop a melee or use a melee to poison them and use Thorn to poison them. What a great combination. I was happy that it froze the arc fallen. I always just use stasis super to just fully DPS the barrier champion. Once I do take down the barrier champion, I just quickly clear down all the ads before capturing the war set or the checkpoint, etc. Once all ads are clear, then I'm going to go to the checkpoint and there will be another ship. So as always, I always throw my turret and bounce towards the war sat zone, which it's okay, you know, I'm not really perfect with the Warlock. I pop a healing rift, and at this part you can leave right away. For me, I just wanted to stay here a little longer just to see if I can do as much DPS or clear down as much ads as I can. And of course, using Thorn. Things were getting out of hand, so I pull back. Now I can deal with the Overload Champion, and the ship flew away, finally. I usually do DPS the Overload Champion on this area. There are different methods. And there is a Void Servitor for the Orb dude. I like giving nicknames with Destiny enemies and champions. I haven't gave a nickname for this champion, so we're just gonna call him Overload Champion. And wow, this Thorn is the Monarque for this season. This boss is not teleporting, just like we all love, and it's amazing. Seriously, try out this weapon. I think it's underrated for this season, to be honest. Like, when using Thorn, the boss doesn't teleport, especially when you consistently keep shooting at the boss, or at the champion, over and over with Thorn. Alright, so I made a War Mind Cell, cleared out a couple of ads, and there are our captains, fallen captains, which I would immediately be aware and take them down quickly as possible because they can melt you pretty quickly. So now I'm going to deal with the last ad. He's a little tanky, and I'm just spamming the Thorn. And you can use your finisher, which I should have done it much more earlier, but like I said, mainly this video is focused on using the power of Thorn hand cannon. So we claimed the checkpoint, and now we can proceed to the next area. Another thing I'd like to mention is you see the elemental charge. So for this week or for the past month, we're gonna have Void, Stasis, Solar, Arc, elemental charge. So we'll have like an empowerment perk for each of the subclasses, etc, etc. Alright, so first things first, I like to go to this area and just use my super. Take down a couple of shanks, and of course these gold bar vandals, which they do like to spawn from left and right. And be aware of them because they can sneak attack you, like you can see here. They sneak attack me, and just be very careful. Always pop a healing rift when dealing with these evil fallens, which they're not very fun to deal with. So now I'm going to be using the turret, but in this video I think I wanted to wait a little bit longer before I use it. I wanted to save it when dealing with the Overload champion and the barrier champion. So you can see those guys over there, the gold bar fallens, where they like to shoot solar. Be very careful with them. They can melt you pretty quick if you just stand there. Be careful with the fallens that shoot solar. They can melt you pretty bad. So now I'm just trying to take care of these invisible fallens, which they are extremely annoying to deal with, but with Thorn you can shoot them and you can see them with the green glow, so even invisible you can still see where they are, which is a plus. Now I'm just waiting for my grenade or the turret. When you do take down the barrier champion, then you'll have more waves of ad spawn. The best way would be dealing with the Overload champion, but with this loadout, it's really tough to kill the Overload champion very fast, so I decided to just deal with the barrier champion and deal with the Overload last. Now if I was using Anarchy, you do have a choice to take down the Overload champion quickly, but like I said, it's a bit tough because this barrier champion, as you can see here, he can immune the Overload champion, and you can see he is super irritating because when you're trying to do DPS at the barrier champion, he is shooting arc at you, which is why I put double arc resistance. So now we're gonna have the next waves of ads, and always pop a healing rift, clear them down quickly. You can make a war mine cell. And here I was just trying to see if I can melee, but I missed, unfortunately. And now I'm gonna be pulling back. Now I'm trying to remember what I was doing over here. I think I wanted to wait for my healing rift, just in case I need it. So I was just reloading the hand cannon or Thorn, and I see this Overload champion. You can do DPS at the Overload champion, so I was trying to choose which one would be easier to do DPS, so I decided to go with the right Overload champion first. So you can do 2 shots and then just hide, you know, like PvP. And you can see that this Overload champion is not going to teleport, and it just makes life easier, especially when dealing with this Nightfall. Now same thing with this Overload champion. He does shoot solar, but you can just easily dodge him in this angle. You can just do 2 shots, hide, 2 shots, hide. And he is pretty much a big joke, especially when using Thorn. These Overload champions are just a big joke. Just like using the Monarque exotic bow last season with Overload bows, etc, etc. this hand cannon is dominating, destroying Overload champions. So basically this is the Overload champion slayer for this season, by the way. Next season I'm not sure what's gonna happen. I don't think we're gonna have Overload hand cannon, but if we are again, just go for the Thorn. And I think this weapon, this exotic, would be good for Grandmaster for fireteam. For solo, I'm not really sure because the third phase of the final boss is the problem. It could work, but wouldn't recommend it. I would just go for Anarchy, to be honest. But for fireteam, yes, you should use Thorn. Give it a go. So now there's gonna be 2 Overload champions, and you know how frustrating is that? They just teleport left and right, but you can see here, I just said, nah, I'm just gonna use Thorn. And another thing I like to say is be cautious when using stasis with this weapon. You have to consistently keep shooting the Overload champion. If you don't, especially using stasis, he's going to slowly regain his health. You can see here, I wasn't being consistent. So just be very careful with Overload champions from long distance when using this weapon. Another reason why I'm using Sundering Blast is, of course, you know, you can use a kinetic weapon to just take down the Overload champion and they're just gonna stand there, right? And the Sundering Blast makes explosion, so it can destroy the ads that are surrounding it, which can be a good thing. If not using Breach and Clear, I would recommend to use this weapon for Overload champions, especially for this Nightfall. Now for the Overload Minotaurs, I haven't fully tested out. And I think the Overload Minotaurs are probably going to be the most toughest to deal with. And even when using the exotic bow, the Monarque, it still moves the Minotaur Overload champion. So I'm guessing it's going to behave the same thing with this weapon as well. But anyway, we're going to go to this room which everyone despises, where you go to strikes and playlists and everyone dies. So basically, you need to pick up this heavy orb charge. And you have to make it all the way from the end where I'm standing from the right side. And everything can one-shot you, which is pretty ridiculous. Even in Master, they can one-shot you. So there are different methods. There's one you can go in the air, drop and pick it up, but it's really tough to do, especially on Warlock. So I'm going to do the slide method and then just go to the right side and throw stasis. So you can see I'm just gonna slide from here, move from the right side because there's no explode shanks. Throw my turret and the shank's just gonna back away. And then make sure everything's frozen. Then just casually walk, you know, take my time here. And then just dunk the orb. So yeah, this is my easy method when using the Warlock. Of course, if I was using a different subclass, I would throw a grenade. But I will quickly go because explode shank will appear. I wouldn't take my time too much. Now this is probably the most annoying room. I really despise this room because sometimes things can go your way or it's not gonna go your way. Now it's always best to take down the barrier champion as soon as possible because the barrier champion is going to mute all the 3 overload champions. Now here I was just backing away because there is a weird infinite spawn where explosive shanks walk towards you. Then later on, once you kill the overload, well, the barrier champion, then you're gonna have a couple of fallens pushing towards you infinitely. Very annoying, but as I said before, I'm going to take down this barrier champion first because this barrier champion is going to immune the 3 overload champions, and yes, there's going to be around 3 overload champions. It's going to be a headache. So once I take down the Overload champion, well, the barrier champion, excuse me, I decided to pull back. And this part can be dangerous too, so always have a healing rift. Here I was being reckless, so these fallen adds will push towards you and pop a healing rift when you do stagger the Overload champion. Now here I was just being extremely reckless, so please do not do what I did where I didn't pop a healing rift. That was a big no-no for me. So make sure you pop a healing rift here. And of course you can just crouch and shoot with the power of Thorn, etc. Always pop a healing rift. Sometimes I forget that I have a healing rift. And it's just those little things. When you do play 3 characters, you just forget their abilities a bit here and there. So I do apologize for that. Now, like I said, during this phase, you're going to be dealing with fallen adds that are going to be pushing towards you. So be aware and be very careful with them. Especially for a Grandmaster, they're going to one-shot you. And it's not going to be fun. And I would just recommend to just be very cautious and always pop a healing rift when you do have it. So now this Overload champion was cooperating with me, and I was very happy he's not teleporting. I mean, seriously guys, have you guys seen any teleportation throughout this entire video? Not so much, right? It's not going to be dealing with more Overload champions, but there were a couple adds pushing towards me, which wasn't fun. So, just being a little cautious here. Making sure everything is going well. And now we see another Overload champion. So you can see here, I'm going to reload Thorn and then just use this kinetic weapon without using turret or anything. So you can see that this kinetic weapon is very powerful. And you can see there are a couple fallens that are in my way as well. And then going back to DPS at the Overload champion. So you can see here, always consistently shoot the Overload champion with the Thorn. So now we dealt with the Overload champions, and guess what? We're going to be dealing with more Overload champions. It's going to be 3 Overload champions, 1 barrier champion. So yeah, it's going to be fun for you guys, but not for me. So because this barrier champion is very annoying, let's just be honest, it's gonna teleport left and right, but since we're using stasis, I'm going to just first take down this barrier champion. That way I could deal with the other adds and the Overload champions as well. So you can see here right now I destroy the barrier champion. My turret is doing all the work. You know, everything is going well. Now you can use your super here. I think in this footage I decided not to. So I'm trying to remember, like, did I use my super here? I don't think I did in this video. Now there's going to be 3 Overload champions, and you must be very cautious, especially when using Thorn. So be very careful. You can also throw stasis turret if you want to, or you can just use the kinetic weapon to deal with them. So I was lucky here. You know, I had 2 Overload champions, and I was trying to shoot both of them at the same time. So you can see I was multitasking here, and I killed both of them in one go. So you can see how powerful the Thorn kinetic weapon is. Like, I just took down 2 Overload champions without using stasis, without using anything but just sundering blasts and the kinetic weapon. So that's a good example. You can see how powerful is it. And also, of course, there are players who don't like stasis, so you don't need to use turret with Thorn to take down Overload champions. So you saw proof there that you don't need stasis to deal you know, to combo DPS Overload Champion. You can be Voidwalker, Chaos Reach, Solar Warlock, etc. Now over here, I accidentally forgot to pick up some ammo. And now I'm going to be dealing with the boss fight. Now the boss fight is going to be a little slow. I wanted to show off more of this weapon of Thorn. Like I said, this boss fight is going to be a little slow, but I just wanted to spam this kinetic weapon throughout this entire video. Just to show, you know, how good this weapon is. It is a good weapon, I'm not gonna lie. I like it, especially for Overload Champions. It's a monster. It's a destroyer, the Overload Champion Slayer. You know, with the Le Monarque, Exotic Void Bow, and this, they both are Overload Champion Slayers. So there's gonna be 2 servitors, as you saw I destroy it. Now I'm gonna be throwing my turret, and like I said, this boss fight's gonna be a little slow because I mainly was just using my kinetic weapon and then spamming my melee attack to poison ads. So you can see that the boss does like to move left and right, so I am manipulating the boss. And just to let everyone know, you must be cautious with the boss because he shoots solar at this phase. And in Grandmaster, he can one-shot you. And yes, I know, but with solar damage, yes, I know. If you put solar damage resistance, it can two-shot you. Yes, I understand that. It's a big gamble when going for Grandmaster of going for arc damage resistance or solar, but I would recommend arc, to be honest. Because Sniper, Shanks is arc, all the ads shoot arc, and later on the final boss, during the last phase, he's gonna be shooting arc. So just to let everyone know that. And of course you need to manipulate the boss and multitask here because this boss can sneak up on you, go behind you and stomp you, and you're done. It's a wipe. You must be aware of where the boss is walking or floating. So if he's too close on the left side, move on the right side. Or if he's too close from the right side towards you, then move from the left side. You can see here he's too close, I move the other side. Then he's moving way too close, so I move to this side. And then I just spam my kinetic weapon or the power of Thorn. And if he's moving too close to the left side, then I move to the right side. If he's going up to the stairs, mostly, then you must move quickly. Because you don't want this boss to walk towards you, stomp you, and then to wipe. We don't want that to happen. Another thing I like to mention, always take down the Shanks in the air. Here, I was just mainly just looking at the boss, then the Shanks. And now we're gonna go deal with the next phase. Now this phase, you can save your super, or you can use your super. Here I decided to use my super. Maybe I should have used my super in the next phase. So you can go do DPS at the barrier champion with your super. I'm going to tell you later about using this super, especially with the boss. But for now, boss will spawn in the middle. There'll be more Shanks, and he still can shoot you with the solar. And of course he is switching weapons, etc, etc. So always be careful with this boss and always look where he's going. Like I said, if he's going too close on the right side, then move the other side. So now you can see he's moving way too close to the stairs, so I move from the left side and I am just trying to take down these Shanks and of course poison them with the power of the gauntlets that we're using. And of course Thorn. Like I said, just be careful, and like I said, this boss fight is gonna be slow. Just want to mainly focus using this weapon. So now it's just the boss, and I'm just taking my sweet time. And you can just move left and right. If he's going up the stairs, then you just move the left side. Basically, this is the boss fight, but the most dangerous part about this boss is the third phase when he goes berserk and goes the mini Stormcaller Warlock mode, which we'll be talking about that later, not now, but now I'm just doing DPS. Hopefully he'll teleport. And you can see that I am poisoning the boss Shank. And finally, he is immune. Now during this phase, take down the Shanks that is flying in the air because the barrier champion's going to shield them. And it's not going to be fun when trying to stagger the barrier champion and then the snipers are melting you. So you can see they're very dangerous. So always take them down very, very quickly. So now there's going to be a couple of Shanks you can see here. And now I'll be dealing with the last champion. Yes, this is going to be the final champion throughout this entire Nightfall. So you could just throw stasis and just use your kinetic weapon, well the scout, to take him down. So once I do take down the barrier champion, the room goes red. I'm quickly going to move to the other side because this is when there is electric where the area I was standing there, which is not a good safe spot to stand. And now we're going to be dealing the last phase, or last phase and a half. And there's going to be a bunch of explosive Shanks everywhere. And this is probably going to take like 2 minutes. So 2 minutes of your life, you're going to be shooting all these explosive Shanks. I do recommend to take them down until you don't see them anymore. Then you could do DPS at the boss. You can see I'm just going left and right, taking down these Shanks before we can deal with the final boss. Now if he's standing here, the boss is just gonna float in the air and he's not gonna really move. He's gonna shoot, and of course he did switch. He's not gonna be shooting solar anymore, he's gonna be shooting, I'm trying to remember, Void? Looks like Void. Yes, Void. So now you can just wait here and then you can just shoot down these explosive Shanks. Now let's talk about the boss fight, since you know this is gonna take 1 minute of my life. The bad thing about using stasis is the stasis is not really strong dealing with the boss. Doing DPS at the boss, it's not going to be very strong. So that's why I put boss spec on the arc machine gun. You can also use a boss spec grenade launcher or rocket, etc. You know. But I just want to make war mine cells. This part can be really tricky because you need to do as much heavy DPS as you can. And of course throw the turret, you know, use all your ammo as much as you can. Once he goes to Stormcaller mode, you must use all your arc machine gun or grenade launcher or rockets. Then lastly, use your super. Of course, when I was using the arc machine gun, it still wasn't enough DPS. And the boss was still moving even though I used my super. So you'll see very soon that plan B, I was shooting at the boss and backing away at the same time, which is very dangerous to do because you could hit the electric arc in this area if you're not careful. When you do enough DPS, when he is 1/4 health, he's going to explode, go loco, right? Crazy. And he's going to follow you and spam Stormcaller. So now I'm just carefully doing DPS with the S.A.B.E.R rifle. And of course I'm going to be using Thorn. So now I'm just taking my time here because I had to be very careful. Now if I was using Chaos Reach, Nova Bomb, you know, a powerful super, then I wouldn't really be doing this. I wouldn't be cautious of how much DPS I had to put. My heavy ammo is full. If my healing rift is here, if my melee is charged up, you know, all those stuff I have to worry about when using the super stasis. So now, because health is very tiny, I'm gonna do as much DPS as I can, and like I say, you have to be very careful, especially using stasis Warlock. You have to be careful. Now, I decided to melee him and then use my arc machine gun. So now I use all my arc machine gun and I am doing DPS at the boss. And like I said, stasis Warlock is not really strong at this boss, unfortunately, so you have to be very careful. So now I'm just backing away, doing DPS as much as I can, and we finally beat the boss. Always be careful, and like I said, you could use a grenade launcher, rocket, because the third phase can be very dangerous, especially when he's going berserk. We finally got the completion for the helmet, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. And hope everyone can enjoy it. Well, I do apologize again, we got code weasel. Guess I should just sign in, you know, and yeah, this is the struggle I have to go through. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.